Well, we already have a separate rule for the derivative of cosine, but it's in this section because it is a composite function. It has an inside and it has an outside. Or you can just look at the rule for derivative of cosine. Derivative of cosine says that it's, and if you remember earlier in the notes, negative sine of the angle multiplied by the derivative of the angle. And the angle is just the 4x, so the derivative of 4x is the 4. And again, we float that constant to the front because, so that we don't confuse it with being multiplied by the angle. It's actually multiplied by the amplitude. So that'll be a negative 4 sine 4x. If you like the u thing, u still equals the inside. U prime is 4. So we rewrite the equation now in terms of u. That'll be the cosine of u. Derivative of cosine is negative sine of the angle times u prime. Resubstitute what is the u equal to. U is a 4x. U prime is the 4. Bring the 4 to the front. Again, lots of practice with this. It'll get confusing for you. Example 6. Y equals cosine to the 4th of x. Anytime I see that power there, I always rewrite it with the parenthesis way. Otherwise, I'll make a mistake. Now I can definitely see this is my inside, this is my outside. So the outside is a power. I'm going to do power rule. Power rule says take that power, bring it down in front as a multiplier, keep the inside the same, 1 less power. So I took care of the power rule. I've only done the outside derivative. Now I still got to multiply by the derivative of the inside. The inside is just cosine x. The derivative of cosine is a negative sine x times by the derivative of the angle. Derivative of x is just 1, so I don't really need that, but I'll get in the habit of just making myself look there. So we're going to float this to the front. So I've got a negative that's going to get multiplied by the 4. So negative 4 sine x cosine cubed x. It's okay to leave it with parentheses, or you can throw them out and put the cube back here. I don't care. They're the same thing. Okay, if you like, fast forward if you want to. Here I started with cosine x to the 4th. If I want to do the u thing, I let u always equal the inside. Inside is cosine x. U prime is going to be negative sine x times 1, because the derivative of x is 1. So y prime now, not y prime, y. Rewriting this in terms of u. So the cosine x is the u. I've got u to the 4th. So it's just a simple power rule now when I do derivative. 4 u cubed. Now times u prime. Now we substitute back in. U is a cosine x. And I got to have that cubed. And u prime is negative sine x. So again, you can see we're right at this same line. Bring this to the front, and it's done. Y equals 1/2. I'm going to make it challenging. Sine of 3x to the 4th. Okay, notice the 4 is on the x here only. It's not on the sine function over here, so I don't need to rewrite this thing with parentheses. Again, constant multipliers in front, don't even worry about them. Here's your inside. Here's your outside. It's a trig function. You can think of it as a composite, but I just like to say, oh, it's a sine. I know how to do derivative of sine. It's on that blue sheet. Derivative of sine is cosine. So I'm going to write for derivative. The 1/2, a multiplier out in front of a function always just carries along. The constant multiplier carries. The derivative of sine is cosine. Never change the angle, never change the inside. But I have to still multiply by the derivative of the inside. The inside is this angle. What is the derivative of 3x to the 4th? Well, it's a little power rule. 4 gets multiplied by the 3 for 12, x to the 1 less power. Okay, and to not confuse that, these are multiplied, this 12x to the cubed, 12x cubed is going to come to the front. And we just simplify. So 1/2 times 12 is 6. X cubed cosine of 3x to the 4th. Okay, fast forward to the next one if you like. Otherwise, I'm going to let u equal the inside. The inside was just 3x to the 4th. U prime is going to be 12x cubed. So I'm going to rewrite this with u's in it instead of x's. So y equals 1/2 sine. The 3x to the 4th was my u. So now I can see it's just a trig function. So y prime. Still, the multipliers out in front carry. Derivative of sine is cosine. Keep the angle the same, times u prime. Now we substitute back in for u and for u prime. 1/2 cosine of 3x to the 4th times by the 12x cubed. Okay, last one, and it's a doozy. Get a lot of lines here. Let's see, we got y equals -4 sine to the 3/4 of 5x cubed. Again, anytime I see the power on the trig function, I rewrite it in parentheses. So this is still y, it's not the derivative yet. The sine function is what's being put to the 3/4 power. Okay, so I can definitely see this is my inside. This is my outside. So the outside is a power. I'm going to do power rule. 3/4. So I've got the -4. Well, I'm going to multiply. 3/4 times the -4. Think of that as 4 over 1. 4s are going to cancel. -3. Inside stays the same to the 1 less power. Subtract 4/4. That's -1/4. Now I've got to do the derivative of the inside. Boy, but when you take a look at the inside, there's sine, and then there's another inside. So I got an inside within the inside. So my outside here is the sine. So I'm going to do derivative of sine next. Derivative of sine is cosine. Keep the angle the same. But now I still have to multiply by the derivative of the angle. That'll be 15x squared. Okay. Simplifying. I'm going to bring both of these to the front. It doesn't really matter if that one goes, but this one definitely should go to the front. So this one's coming to the front. We're going to have -3 times gives me a -45. I might as well bring it over. Cosine 5x cubed. And then sine 5x cubed to the -1/4. I could have put the -1/4 right here and left off the parentheses. Okay. I believe the homework is page 110, 3 through 22. Okay.